index, because currently we have an index value of 1, so this index value gets replaced by the value of 1, like this. This is actually occurring behind the scenes, and this is being done by the compiler. We can't actually literally see that. So the compiler replaces the index, the variable name, and it replaces the variable name with the current value. Now the current value after the incrementation is 1. So 1 is less than 0, which is an unreasonable statement, or which is a false statement. 1 cannot be less than 0. So this entire condition renders out to be false. That's why our loop is going to terminate at this semicolon. But what if we change the condition like this? So this was our previous condition. Let's bring up the browser again. Let's refresh the page. I hope you can see that clearly. So now we get all the result that we wanted. This is because after the loop runs for the first time, it checks the condition in here. So it literally can be read like this. We can literally read this like, do all these processes or execute all these processes while this condition is true. So it actually does it actually completes all the processes while index is still less than the number of elements contained inside this array. So because the first time the loop runs, it's going to have a value of 1, like I've told you, because in the first time, when the loop is running for the first time, it's going to go through this entire body first. So the loop is executing this entire clause, and inside this entire clause, it has got this echo statement and this incrementing statement. This incrementing statement actually increments the value of index by 1, and now at the end of this clause we have got index with the value of 1. So this condition will retrieve that value, will retrieve the current incremented value of the index, and it will replace that value in here with 1. And likewise, we know that when we count the number of elements inside the array, we get 6 in here. Sorry for that. We get 6 in here instead of this count. After the compiler has evaluated this function, we get a value of 6. So we can literally read this. 1 is less than 6. So this is actually true. This is a reasonable statement. So now the compiler will actually ignore this semicolon, and it will return to the do statement or do clause again, and it will it will execute this entire clause again. Now this time, when it executes this clause, this echo statement, you see this echo statement, it's going to look inside the second element, because now index contains the value of 1. And we know that the counting of the array starts from from 0, sorry. So the first element was 0 and the second element is 1. The second element contains the index of 1. So now the echo statement is going to retrieve the second value, and it's going to apply the br tag. Then when it reaches this statement, this incrementing statement, it's going to increment the value by 1, and now the index value, when we add 1 to 1, then it becomes 2. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Likewise, when the block of code for this do statement terminates, it moves on to the condition. So when it moves on to the condition, it's going to check 2 is less than 6. So this is actually true. 2 is actually less than 6. So again, the compiler ignores this semicolon, and it returns to the do clause or this do statement again, and it keeps on running this code until and unless it has reached the value of 6 in here. So when we have got the value of 6 for index, your loop is going to terminate. So that's how our loop is working. So let me show you the basic difference between the while loop and the do while loop. So let's bring up index in here, and let's say it's less than 0. Let's set the condition to be 0. Then again, let's bring up the while loop, and we are going to say this time index. So let's call this index 2. And now we are going to require another variable called index, and let's set this index as 0. And we're going to use similar type of conditioning for both of these loops, and this is going to actually demonstrate how both of these loops are working in practicality. So we're going to retrieve the value from the pages array. So I need to change this index 2. Then again, I need to use an index this time. So let's use the br tag again. And now it's time we use the increment operator. So we are done, and let's do something like, let's add a br tag.